Mike Judge's Idiocracy started as a box office bomb that Fox tried to bury. It ended up being a terrifyingly accurate prophecy. But behind the Brawndo and the monster trucks, the production was a disaster of studio battles and slashed budgets. From the costume designer who accidentally predicted a global fashion trend to the specific moment at Disneyland that sparked the entire idea, here are the behind-the-scenes facts about Idiocracy, or as we call it now, the news, the Disneyland epiphany. The idea didn't come from a think tank. It came from the happiest place on Earth. Mike Judge was in line at Disneyland when he witnessed a scene that changed everything. Two mothers, with kids in strollers, just screaming profanity at each other. It wasn't just a fight, it was the total lack of shame that hit him. He realized in that moment that evolution wasn't rewarding the smartest, it was rewarding the loudest. That single altercation in line for a ride birthed the entire concept of the film. The original sci-fi inspiration. While that Disneyland fight was the spark, the fuel came from a 1951 sci-fi story called The Marching Morons by C.M. Kornbluth. The story featured a similar premise. Centuries of smart people not having kids led to a future where a tiny elite of overworked geniuses has to secretly manage a population of billions of morons. Judge took that concept and stripped away the secret genius elite, leaving us with, well, President Camacho, Justin Long's secret cameo. One of the most quoted scenes in the movie features Dr. Lexus, the physician who talks like a skater dude and diagnoses Joe with being tarded. The actor under the messy hair and terrible teeth is actually Justin Long, Dodgeball, Jeepers Creepers. He is uncredited in the role, and his hysterical delivery of lines like, "My first wife was tarded, she's a pilot now," was largely improvised. The accidental Crocs prophecy. This is the most famous accidental prediction in cinema history. Costume designer Deborah Maguire needed futuristic shoes for the cast, but had a tiny budget. She found a small startup selling weird, hole-filled foam boating shoes. She showed them to Mike Judge and said, "These are horrible plastic shoes. No one would ever wear these." Judge was worried. "What if by the time the movie comes out, people are actually wearing them?" Maguire assured him. "Oh, these are never going to become popular." Those shoes were Crocs. By the time the movie hit DVD, they were a global phenomenon. The Great Garbage Avalanche was real-ish. The Great Garbage Avalanche of 2505 wasn't just CGI. The art department built massive practical sets of refuse to create the landfills. The concept was based on real fears of waste management crises, taking the idea of a disposable society to its literal breaking point, where we simply run out of places to put the trash and just decide to live on top of it. Fox News survived the apocalypse. In a movie where Fuddruckers becomes Buttfurs and almost every corporate logo is bastardized, one brand remains eerily unchanged: Fox News. The production team decided to leave the Fox News logo and style almost exactly the same in the year 2505 as it was in 2006. The joke was that while civilization collapsed, the network's branding didn't need to devolve. It was already there. The legendary rapper who played a pimp. The pimp upgrade, spelled with two Ds for a double dose of pimping, is only seen in still photos and the post-credits scene, but hip-hop fans might recognize him. He is played by Brad Jordan, better known as the legendary Houston rapper Scarface from the Ghetto Boys. This is a direct nod to Mike Judge's previous film, Office Space, which famously featured the Ghetto Boys song "Damn It Feels Good to Be a Gangsta." "Ow my balls," predicted YouTube. Judge invented the show Ow My Balls as the ultimate example of lowest common denominator entertainment, a guy just getting hit in the groin repeatedly. He thought it was an absurdity. But just months before the film's release, YouTube was born. Within a few years, fail compilations of people getting hurt became the most watched content on the planet. Judge didn't just predict the show, he predicted the algorithm. Terry Crews auditioned 5 times. It's hard to imagine anyone else as President Dwayne Elizondo Mountain Dew Herbert Camacho, but Fox didn't want Terry Crews. They wanted a bigger movie star. Crews had to audition 5 separate times for the role. By the final audition, he was so frustrated, he told the casting director, "If you find someone better, just give it to him." Then he went in and unleashed the scream. That raw frustration is exactly what got him the part. Maya Rudolph's time travel. In the film, Maya Rudolph plays a prostitute frozen in 2005. In reality, filming took place in 2004. There's a common myth that she was pregnant during filming, but the timeline doesn't match. Her first child was born in October 2005, well after principal photography wrapped. However, the delay in the movie's release, it sat on a shelf for 2 years, meant that by the time audiences finally saw her playing a single woman in a dystopian future, she was already a mother in the real world. The Office Space Reunion. Mike Judge loves his regulars. If the lawyer Frito looks familiar, that's Dax Shepard. But look closer at the other cast. The prosecutor is David Herman, who played Michael Bolton in Office Space, and the judge who sentences Luke Wilson, that's Stephen Root, the guy who played Milton, the stapler guy in Office Space. It's basically the Initech staff reincarnated in a stupider future. The Lost Museum of Fart. There was an entire sequence cut from the film where Joe visits a futuristic museum to see what passes for culture in 2505. The scene featured the Museum of Fart, which treated flatulence like high art, including exhibits like the Mona Lisa of farts. It was filmed but eventually deleted to keep the runtime tight, leaving the Ass movie as the primary example of future entertainment. The Hank Hill cameo. This is a blink-and-you-miss-it Easter egg. In the opening narration during the Cleveland family tree montage showing the explosion of dumb descendants, look closely at the photos. Buried in the bottom left of the chaotic collage is a picture of Hank Hill and Bobby Hill from King of the Hill. There's also a picture of a goat. It confirms that King of the Hill and Idiocracy technically share the same doomed universe. The Untitled release. Fox absolutely hated the movie. They tested it, didn't understand it, and decided to bury it. They gave it no movie posters, no trailers, and no press kits. When it was released in September 2006, it opened in only 130 theaters nationwide. For context, a normal release is 2,500 plus. Some theaters didn't even have the title on the marquee. It was simply listed as Untitled Mike Judge Project. The budget cuts. While rumors of unpaid crew are exaggerated, the budget cuts were severe. Fox slashed the budget midway through production, forcing Judge to cut huge planned sci-fi set pieces. The reason the future looks so cheap, with reused costumes and simple sets, is partly because they literally couldn't afford to make it look cool. This inadvertently helped the movie's aesthetic, making the future look tacky and corporate rather than sleek. The Beef Supreme family connection. In the Monday night rehabilitation scene, the terrifying gladiator Beef Supreme who drives the Dildozer is played by Andrew Wilson. If the name sounds familiar, it's because he is the older brother of both Luke Wilson, the star of the film, and Owen Wilson. The Wilson brothers frequently appear in each other's projects, but this time Andrew was trying to kill his little brother with a flamethrower. Luke Wilson's average casting. Wilson was cast specifically because he tested as the everyman. Judge wanted someone who didn't look like an action hero or a comedian, just a regular guy who could anchor the madness. Wilson played the straight man so perfectly that many critics initially thought he was boring, missing the point that his blandness was the only sane thing in the movie. Brawndo became real. The energy drink Brawndo, the thirst mutilator, was a parody of aggressive marketing. But just like the Crocs, capitalism embraced the joke. A company eventually licensed the rights and sold real Brawndo energy drinks. It was neon green, tasted terrible, and yes, it had electrolytes. We literally drank the joke. Not a comedy, a documentary. This is the phrase you see in every YouTube comment section, but it comes from the top. Mike Judge and Ethan Cohen, the co-writer, have both stated in interviews years later that they no longer see the film as a satire. Judge tweeted during the 2016 election cycle that it was scary how quickly reality had caught up to his 500-year prediction. He now refers to it half-jokingly as a documentary. The Camden County Library. In a weird twist of irony, the film has become a favorite among librarians. Why? Because the hero of the movie, Joe Bowers, is a military librarian. He saves the world not with guns, but by reading and using basic logic. The movie is secretly a love letter to literacy. The Carl's Jr. Wars. The movie portrays Carl's Jr. as a dystopian nightmare where you can buy extra big-ass fries. You'd think the brand would sue, but they actually signed off on the usage. However, after the movie gained a cult following and the "F you, I'm eating" line became a meme, the brand became less thrilled about being the face of idiocy. It remains one of the boldest uses of real trademarks in a satire. The missing Camacho ads. During the 2016 election, there was a serious plan to bring back Terry Crews as President Camacho for a series of fake campaign ads. Crews and Judge were on board, and they even had scripts ready. But the plan was scrapped, reportedly because Fox, who owns the rights, got cold feet, fearing that satirizing the current political climate with Camacho was a little too close to reality. The cult success. Despite earning only $495,000 at the box office, a total flop, the movie became a massive hit on DVD. It was the rental market that saved Idiocracy. It became a word-of-mouth hit, passed around dorm rooms and offices by people saying, "You have to see this. It's actually happening." It proves that while Fox could hide the movie from theaters, they couldn't hide the truth from the audience. Idiocracy wasn't a warning about the future. It was a mirror for the present that we just refused to look at. And if you're watching this on a phone while drinking a sugar-filled energy drink, well, maybe we're already there. If you enjoyed this deep dive, click the subscribe button. It's what plants crave for more behind-the-scenes facts on your favorite movies.